There's something that I've always wanted to point out, I guess, because everybody loves to hate the game, which is fine, honestly. I at this point, it wouldn't be the game if a good amount of people didn't absolutely hate the way things are made, whether it be certain decks, whether it's rulings on certain cards. But the thing that most people will never truly realize is, in a way, we're the ones that make the game so bad. Now, I'm not talking about the players specifically, even though there are some players that can be a little, testy. Sometimes it's not even the cards, honestly. Like, sometimes it's not even what certain people play. What usually messes up the game, what usually makes the game very unfun for a number of people a lot of the time is, well, TCG. Now you must be wondering, Evil, what the hell do you mean TCG? But the game just sucks sometimes. You, my friend, are very true. Yes, you're completely right. Sometimes the game just sucks. Sometimes it sucks right now that in order to play competitively with a good chance of winning, you have to play something like Mermills, or you have to play Fire Fist, or Dino Rabbit. There's something that a lot of people haven't really looked into, which for good reason, because it hasn't really happened for a while. But usually when certain archetypes come out, TCG is what makes the archetype ridiculously broken to deal with. What I'm getting at is TCG exclusives. Yep, that's right. We break the game. Some of you must be wondering, what exactly do you mean? Like, TCG exclusives, they suck sometimes. Yes, that's true. And then other times, you get TCG exclusives that just break the game. You remember Sabers? X-Sabers? The deck that got Cold Wave banned? The deck, when it was first created, was fine. Yes, it had a lot of broken plays and Foltros and stuff like that. And I remember clearly, because I pulled a lot of Foltros, that it came in a pack that nobody really liked. Ancient Prophecy, maybe one of the worst sets to come out outside of Vayu and Ancient Fairy Dragon. There was really no cards that anybody really wanted. However, Foltro came out in that, which he was a regular card. He was in the OCG. But when the X-Sabers received the rest of their support, TCG decided to make something called Dark Soul. For everybody that just sighed, screamed at the screen, or clicked X at this point, I'm sorry for bringing up painful memories of just losing to X-Sabers. Yeah, Ember's Blade was the secret rare, but Dark Soul was the one that allowed derpiness to ensue. So when you played an X-Saber player, it was just like synchro, tribute, synchros, tribute, synchro, blah, 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 blah. Most of the time, it was a Dark Soul hitting the field. And at the time, Dark Soul's ruling was that basically for every time it hit the field, you got to search. That was a product of TCG exclusive. The card was so busted in the eyes of freaking the game, in Konami's eyes, that when it finally was released in the OCG changed the ruling on the card. OCG received the card and they said, "Fuck you, America. What crack are you smoking? It gets it once. Yes, we break the game." Dark Soul was just one example, because my friend played X-Sabers and it was one of the first cards that I noticed for a TCG exclusive. Added a level of consistency and brokenness to a deck that was already good. It just made it even better and damn near busted. And then after that we saw Bye Bye to Cold Wave. But it's not the only culprit. There are plenty of other TCG exclusives that are just... You can even go back further. When 6 Ams were originally released, one of the cards that's actually the bane of your existence half the time without you even realizing it, because not that many people play it, and most people only play it at one, is Grandmaster of the Six Samurai. Then when Legendary 6 Ams came out, good times, because it just added that much more consistency. It's like another keys onto your deck. You can't normal summon it, but you can special summon it. And when you destroy it, it's going to get you a 6 Am from the graveyard. Because that's fair. And it's not just only limited to monsters that were pretty good. It was also also added to spells and traps. One spell that a lot of you probably still play and have plenty of commons of, and probably remember horribly bad format, is Allure of Darkness. You know, draw 2 cards and remove from play a dark monster, which is a joke of a requirement unless you didn't draw any darks and you just decided to go, what the hell. And yeah, I've seen people draw nothing and draw 2, draw the 1 dark, and get the exact cards that they needed. Yeah, thanks TCG. Gladiator Beasts were topping, Bestiary was busted, yes. Herculinos was the man, but one of the little cards that people teched in that actually added a level of consistency and was pretty damn good of a top deck if you had a Glad on the field after activating a Wabaku and blowing up a card was good old Test Tiger. Yes, Test Tiger, TCG exclusive product of the good old US of A. And even recently, it's not even just brokenness to the game, it's also what causes the secondary market to fluctuate and to be all busted as hell anyway. When that card first came out in Extreme Victory, it's like everybody saw the card, everybody knew what the card did, everybody found out about XYZs, but yet it was like everybody wanted to keep it because they were like, well, XYZs are gonna be good. Even after people saw the first XYZs from Destruction, they were like, nobody really wants to play this. But nobody wanted to get rid of them for less than 40, 50 bucks. Then, once again, TCG tried to be busted like they did with Dark Soul. And if I remember correctly, because I clearly remember hearing this from a couple of notable people, was that, I guess, you know, Call of Duty has a spokesperson. Street Fighter for a long time had Seth Killian. He would be the one to tell you about stuff coming out. The guy, I don't even know, nobody really listens to him anyway, but the guy that was in charge of, I guess, development and game for the TCG came out and said when Torghast is summoned and you get a Sangan and you overlay, the monsters are treated as on field, so when you detach you get effects. What? Everybody knows what happened after that. Anybody that spent 40 to 150 bucks on a tour guide, all of a sudden one tour guide was worth 150 to $200 because that was the most broken play. And this was even before the ban list. Once the ban list actually hit and Sangan was still there and the TCG was like, no, that's way too busted. What the hell are you talking about? Monsters are not treated as on field, which was a general game mechanic overall. Even after that ruling was made, people realized tour guide is actually going to be really good. So it settled at a nice, comfortable $120 to $150 price range for just one. Really, you needed 3. Thanks, TCG. And even then, it didn't matter because tour guide was just there to get Zen mains or Levier, but the real deck that was a problem at the time, at least before that ban list, was plants. And what did plants really do? They had Spore, they had Dandelion, they had Lone Fire Blossom. By the way, Lone Fire Blossom was another TCG exclusive. We made that shit too. Besides those cards, you had probably the best card ever made. I'm talking about the OG MVR, as I like to call him, most valuable replacer, Reborn Tengu. Ran at 3. Good old TCG exclusive, super rare. That made synchro summoning the best thing. That was the best synchro summoning was ever at. Fast forward to now, Reborn Tengu is being used in Fire Fist because he's still a Beast Warrior, which they thought that was a good idea to make him too. At the time, it was a good idea because you couldn't successfully search for him. Well, that went out the window. But the other thing that a lot of people didn't realize, which some kid from New York, you guys all know him, he ended up going to World, he ended up winning the World Qualifier for that year with TG whatever. It doesn't even matter. What he really won was with Tengu and Horn and Phantom Beast. Flip skill drain, Tengu still has its effect, and all of a sudden you got a 2500 beat stick that's just beating you over the head, and effectively became a monster with a draw effect. Once again, thank you TCG for giving us busted cards. Even most recently, one of the most important cards to the wind-up strategy is Wind-Up Shark. Yes, I know everybody, when it came out, everybody was going for Zen Mighty and the Wind-Up Loop and dropping cards from the hand, blah, 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 blah. But that strategy was only made worse by Wind-Up Shark. And because of Wind-Up Shark, the deck still has a consistency even to this day. Zen Mighty is banned, Magician's at 1. And honestly, in my opinion, Shark is what's keeping that deck going. It was either Magician or Shock. One of the two. Shark is still around. If they would have hit them both at one, then yeah, that would have effectively killed the deck. However, it's still at 3. And it's been proven now that even with Magician at 1, as long as you have 3 Sharks, even if they would have hit Shark, as long as you had 3 Magicians, the deck was still going to live. However, since I'm trying to put up an argument about TCGs and how they bust the game, the fact that Shark is still at 3 allows you to make a lot more plays and still allows you to go into rank 5s and rank 3s and all that other nonsense. All because, you know, Konami TCG decided to add an exclusive to windups, which we as players exploit the shit out of everything that's going to make anything for free, which is basically what Shark does. To be honest, the recent TCG exclusives have been quite lackluster, and I think it has to do with the fact that either they're not that good or their rarities don't make them that hard to get. However, you still got TCG exclusives that only add more consistency to decks right now. When Spellbook of Judgment comes out, the Spellbook deck is going to be really bananas, but even right now, the deck still has Starhall and the Field Spell card. When Spellbook of Judgment comes out, it doesn't really matter because they pretty much have all the pieces, but the fact that they have 2 TCG exclusive continuous spell cards that add on to the nonsense, it does more harm than good. On the flip side, at least recently, they just haven't been as busted. However, Abyss Dweller, another TCG exclusive, does serve a purpose as to stopping Mermails to a certain extent from just going ham and even providing a useful countermeasure in the mirror match. So sometimes it's not all that bad. However, my biggest fear is what's going to happen in the coming months, more specifically the next set. You've got Spellbooks coming out with Spellbook of Judgment, which, you know, is going to be the card that puts that deck into Herp Dirt mode. But the other archetype that's going to be coming out, Elemental Dragons, is something that's been seeing a lot of play on websites like DN and has been garnering a lot of attention. However, the deck is pretty solid by itself. It's busted, but it's not too busted, and it's still relatively new. But the last couple sets have not had that many good TCG exclusives. It kind of feels like they're overdue for one TCG exclusive that just sends something over the edge, and I'm very, very nervous that it might be something for those Elemental Dragons, especially since dragons are a very, very fan favorite type of deck, and that's not going to be fun if they get their own card which just does something ridiculous, whether it be a spell search card or some sort of card that allows them to come back into the graveyard or something like that. I'm just speculating, but still, there's a possibility. There's always an entire section for each set dedicated to TCG exclusives. Some of them are fun for casual play, and some of them have real effects on the competitive scene in the game. Not to mention, can drastically change the secondary market as to what's worth a lot and what's not worth jack shit. So next time, before you start complaining about the game and saying, oh my god, Konami's so dumb, why would they make this card? It's not even the OCG. The OCG didn't receive Tour Guide. The OCG didn't receive a bunch of cards. Shoot, the OCG has thought some of the cards we made were too busted. Dark Soul went over there and got its ruling changed, and everybody thought that Reborn Tengu was safe from the ban list because it hadn't been released in the OCG, and most of y'all motherfuckers were salty as shit when you saw that Reborn Tengu in English because they hadn't translated it for the Japanese yet, and we're just like, are you effing serious? Yes. Nothing is safe on the ban list, especially when it comes to busted cards that we make. Subscribe, like, comment, please interact with these videos and such. I really look forward to seeing and hearing from your feedback. I'm going to be trying to make a couple of videos. I probably won't be able to make a few in the next couple of days. Make sure to stay up with our contest. Make sure to stay tuned for our winners. Check the Facebook page for those contests that are going to be going on. And I will be seeing you guys later. Much love to you guys. Have fun playing Yu-Gi-Mons, man. Peace.